My name is Randi Nussbaum, and this is my story. So October of 2006, my youngest, Isaac, was 6 months old, which made everybody stair steps. Chloe was in kindergarten. It was an amazing time, but also an exhausting time. I was the kids minister at Woodlawn Christian Church, and we did this great outreach program that was called Little Angels Attic Consignment Sale, where we opened up a consignment store with our stuff for people from the community. And I was exhausted. I had stayed up way too late and waited way too last minute to tag the clothes that I was submitting in, and plus just being a part of everything. So that night when I came home, I wasn't feeling so hot. I just attributed that to being a young mom and not resting well. And so in the middle of the night when I woke up and I had this pain in the right side of my face, I thought, maybe I'm getting a sinus infection and that's why I haven't been feeling well. Praise the Lord that Jason was on fall break at the time. I hadn't been feeling well for a while, so I had called the doctor and he was calling me back with plans for an MRI. And so Jason had taken the kids upstairs to get ready, Chloe ready for school and Jacob ready for preschool. And as I'm listening to what the doctor is asking me to do, I start to write down his instructions, but the instructions were literally just scribble scrabble. In my mind, I thought, this sinus infection is wicked. And he keeps talking and I'm still trying to write stuff down, and I don't know why in the moment I didn't say something to him. But I hung up the phone and went upstairs. And by the time I got upstairs, I had lost most of the right side of my body. I had said to Jason, I don't feel very well. And he was really confused. And so I said it again, and he quickly scooped up the kids and took them to Woodlawn where friends were waiting for the consignment sale to start, and took me to the hospital. When I walked into the ER, I again said, I'm not feeling very well. And the lady leaned forward and she said, I'm sorry, what? And I repeated myself, and she pushed a button and several people came out and escorted me to the back. After several tests were run, they concluded that I had had a stroke. Okay, so it's not very often that 26-year-olds have strokes, and so they wanted to try to figure out why. And I was in the hospital for about a week. While I was at the hospital, they found through something called a transesophageal echocardiogram that I had a 1-inch hole in my heart, and that I had had that hole since birth. So that was surprising and a little overwhelming. They figured I probably got the clot just from labor and delivery, and that the clot probably just flowed in my body for a while until something pushed it through the hole and caused the stroke. I had a great support system in that healing time, but I'm also human, and I questioned why God was having me walk through this, especially with such young kids, because it took a long time to recoup. I had heart surgery in November, so just a few weeks after, and felt a little bit better, but still just questioned why God had me walk through that experience. In that time, and even weeks after, friends from Woodlawn provided meals and childcare and encouragement through that whole time. We were flooded. My whole family was flooded with amazing volunteers and helpers coming in, take care of the kids and cook meals and clean the house and to sit with me. I received thousands, okay, probably not thousands, it's dramatic, hundreds of cards, just praying for me, letting me know that they were praying for me. And that felt good, but it didn't really tamper the feeling that I couldn't understand why I had had to walk through this. Even though I understand that God has plans for everything in your life, I was really confused why God was asking me to walk through this. I didn't feel well. I didn't feel like I could be a good mom or a good wife or a good kids minister. I just felt lousy for quite a while. A year later, I was invited to come to a national Go Red for Women conference, and I was blessed enough to sit at a table with women who had survived heart attacks and heart disease and aneurysms and strokes. And it was there that I saw the biggest God sighting of my life. I learned in that conference that had I had the stroke in August, so just a few months before, it would have been open heart surgery to repair my heart rather than through a heart cath. And had I had it in February, just a few months later, I would have had to have had 2 strokes before the FDA would have approved the patch that fills the hole in my heart. I, in that moment, realized that God's plan in my life, even in my temper tantrum of trying to figure out why this was happening, was bigger than I had even thought. 10 years ago, I was invited to be the kids minister here at Farragut Christian Church. And I knew some people and had relationships with some people, but certainly not to the extent that God will show me later. 5 years ago, we're getting ready to move, and I'm packing up closets that I hadn't cleaned out in, a long time. And in that closet was a box that had cards in it. Cards from some familiar names. Names that I didn't know almost 18 years ago, but have the pleasure of knowing now. Chris and Vince Aceves, Bob and Judy Jones, Bob and Jackie Ballard, the Swartzentroopers. I had a small connection at this church, but certainly not to the level that I even deserved prayer, to that extreme, for someone they didn't really, really know almost 18 years ago. What a privilege. What a privilege to be a part of a family, the family of God, that prays for people, even though you don't know them, and that God heard your prayers and allowed me the opportunity to get to know you better. I'm reminded of Philippians 1:3. Every time I think of you, I give thanks to my God. I'm Randi Nussbaum, and this is my story of how God wove into my life some pretty amazing believers.